chat. The Psychetruth live chat. Every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Central Standard Time on your YouTube machine. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. I'll answer your questions about whatever you want to talk about on the Psychetruth. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. Live chat, live chat, live chat, live chat. All right. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so very much for your understanding about why I was unable to do live chat last week. Some of you, if you were in the chat, you saw me come in and leave a little comment that somebody drove over our internet cable. I literally walked up to the building and you could just see the internet cable with all the little wires splayed out in a million pieces. Anyways, it took them almost a week to fix our internet. Thank you, Google Fiber, by the way. Anyways, but internet is back on now, which means that your regularly scheduled live chat is here and is happening. For those of you who do not know me, my name is Corrina Rachel, and I'm a certified holistic health coach. I've made hundreds of videos on the topics of weight loss, nutrition, stress, ASMR, healing in a natural functional medicine type approach, which is all about getting down to the root of the problem and really resolving the problems that we might be having in our body rather than just trying to ameliorate the symptoms, which is largely what happens in the mainstream approach. Now, this chat is all about your questions, so it's pretty much free range: health, fitness, weight loss, you name it. I do want to just make a note that I've been doing these live chats for between 2 and 3 years. I've been doing them a long time, and they have never made a single penny for the channel. But there is now a new feature where you can actually leave a tip. And so I put a little note. This is an instruction from my boss, okay, to do this. This is not my personal choice, but he said, tell them that questions with a tip get answered first. And it's cool because in the comment section, it actually puts any comment with a tip associated with it at the very top. So if you leave a tip, you basically have a guarantee of your question being answered if it is of appropriate nature, let's just say. All right, so I'm going to start getting into these questions. I will do my very best to get to all of them. If you leave question marks at the front of your question, it's going to make it easier for me to see amidst all of the hundreds of little chat messages that go through. So leave question marks before your question, leave a tip if you would like your question to move to the top, and let's go ahead and dive right in here. Let me just get situated a little bit. On another slightly off topic but very exciting note, my birthday is in like 8 days. I can't believe it. Anyways, I just like looked down. I was like, 3:15. Whoa. Anyways, so I guess that's not technically next week, but the week after. I'm already in celebration mode, though. That's just how birthdays work for me. You celebrate a week before and a week after. Okay, Brian Keith Counterman Jr. is here holding down the fort. Thank you so much for being here, Brian. Issa Dev is here being my wonderful, exceptional, fantabulous moderator. So don't piss him off. Alrighty. Let's see. Yes, thank you. Help me get some likes on my chat. That would be awesome. Oh my gosh. There's just... All right, here we go. Okay, so here's a good question. Tahira Hawkins. What a pretty name, Tahira. Tahira says, how can I successfully lose weight quickly, like a total of 45 pounds? Okay, so there's a couple different things at play here. One is that, yes, we all would like to lose weight quickly. If we had a choice between losing weight slowly and losing weight quickly, I think we would all choose the quick option, right? But then 45 pounds is kind of a lot of weight. Not a huge amount of weight to lose, but it's more than like 10 pounds or 5 pounds or something like that. So you have two basic considerations here, and this is really how I break it down and think about it with my clients. You know, it's like we've got two different things we're trying to do. We're trying to lose weight quickly, but then we're also trying to lose a pretty good amount of weight sustainably. And when I say sustainably, all I mean is you're not going to gain the weight back and then have to go on a diet again 6 months later or a year later, right? How many of us have gone on a diet, we lose a lot of weight, only to gain that weight back and have to go back on another diet the following year, right? And then it becomes, what do they call that? The feedback loop, crashing and burning. I don't know, that's kind of how it feels, right? It feels horrible. So in my opinion, you're going to be much better off to prioritize sustainable weight loss than quick weight loss. And what I mean by that is the faster you lose the weight, the more likely it is for that weight to come back. Whereas if we can burn that fat in a healthy, sustainable way, you're going to lose it once. And ideal scene is you don't gain that weight back, right? So what are the kind of underlying guidelines of weight loss that we need to know? Probably the biggest one, or certainly one of the big ones, okay, is keeping your insulin levels low. Now, maybe you know what insulin is, maybe you don't. I'm just going to give a quick little explainer just in case, right? Most of us, we've maybe heard the word insulin from someone that we know that's diabetic. Maybe we've heard our doctor talk about our insulin levels. Basically what insulin is a hormone that helps to transport sugar throughout the body so that the body can use that sugar for energy. Well, what happens for most of us is that at each individual meal or throughout the day, we're eating so much sugar. We have so much insulin. Insulin's like it's like the Uber, right? It's like the Uber for the sugar. Right? So you got all these little insulins riding around, all this sugar going around. Eventually your cells are like, I'm at my max capacity, keep on going, head on down to the next truck stop, right? And so when this happens, insulin has one option, and that option is to take that sugar and turn it into fat. And this is why insulin is known as the fat storage hormone. So one super simple, in basic, not simple as in easy to do necessarily, right, is to keep your insulin levels low. How do you do that? Don't snack throughout the day. Don't sip sodas throughout the day. Don't eat candy throughout the day, right? Just consider, there's one consideration, which is how much insulin do you get at each meal? How much sugar do you eat? How much flour? Refined carbohydrates. Remember, those refined carbohydrates like white bread, potato chips, tortilla chips, Doritos, and Fritos, all of those are basically just like sugar when they hit your bloodstream. So all of those things are going to be big insulin stimulants, you could say. So you have how much, but then you also have just the frequency. Like how many hours of the day do you have insulin flowing through your bloodstream? And if you're someone who's constantly sipping sodas or eating candy or whatever, right, your insulin is elevated all day long. And this is one of the big reasons why, when we talk about snacking, there's kind of two different approaches. One approach is, hey, don't snack at all. And then one approach is, hey, eat smaller meals throughout the day. Now, that's a totally different question. I don't want to go off on a tangent. But what you should understand is that keep your insulin low. Try to not spike your insulin all day long. So if you can go in between your meals with no sugar, no snacks, no insulin spikes, that's going to be a really good thing right there. So controlling your insulin is number one. Number two, getting some kind of movement, some kind of exercise. I love to use the analogy of a stagnant pond. You think about how disgusting and putrid and nasty stagnant pond is, and it's all mossy and who knows what even's in there, right? As opposed to a beautiful flowing stream. There's movement, there's circulation, This is a great way to think about your body. Is your body a stagnant pond? Or do you have that good movement and circulation and stuff, and it's like a beautiful flowing stream, like Bambi would drink out of? All right, so any kind of movement. It doesn't have to be going to the gym. It doesn't have to be going to do some kind of workout you don't want to do. Walk around the block. Walk around your house. Do an at-home yoga video. Go play Dance Dance Revolution. What a great way to get exercise while you're freaking playing a game. Who freaking knew, right? There's tons of different ways you can move your body. You just got to pick one, and you got to do it. Insulin levels, movement, and then, honestly, one of my big recommendations is staying away from processed foods, especially the ones that say fat-free or diet or sugar-free. Don't eat them, okay? Opt for fresh, natural foods in their minimally processed state. So it's basically fruits, vegetables, and then if you want to do something like brown rice, quinoa, beans, and other legumes are another great kind of carb and protein source you can integrate. Anyhow, so I spent a lot of time on that question, but that's one of the questions that I get all the time. So hopefully y'all don't mind that I spent so long on it. Weight loss is one of my favorite topics because when you help someone to unlock their body's potential to lose weight and burn fat, they feel good, they look amazing, they have this amazingly renewed source of confidence and excitement and joy. It's an amazing thing. And it's not just about aesthetics. It's not just about your appearance. Yes, improving our appearance often helps boost our confidence and helps us feel good, but working out and losing weight is not just about an appearance thing. I kind of see that as like the added bonus. What it's really about is having energy levels, having good positive feelings, having your body be healthy, and then all of the wonderful goodness that comes along with your body being healthy. Your emotions are good, your energy levels are good, etc. Yes. Keva Pickens, what is a good macronutrient tracker? I don't freaking know because I don't freaking track my macros and I don't count calories. I just don't. I have way too many other things in my life that require me to do math that I don't want to add more math to my life. And don't get me wrong, I like math, okay? I totally like math, but I don't like tracking nutrients, I don't like counting calories, and I don't like that whole if it fits my macros thing. Because it completely ignores the quality of the food that you're eating. If you're just counting calories or if you're just counting and tracking macros, suddenly you're becoming so consumed with the numbers that maybe you're eating things like Lay's potato chips, maybe you're eating Oreos, maybe you're drinking sodas, and if it fits your macros, it's okay. I always bring up that example of those little 100-calorie snack packs, right? So for virtually any horrible, toxic junk food you can think of, they sell a box of them that are called 100-calorie snacks. You're like, oh, goody, I'm going to eat my 100-calorie snack pack. Here it is. And all I'm telling you is that if you will prioritize the quality of the food over the quantity, you can eat a lot more food. If you just opt for things that are healthy, you shouldn't have to count calories because those foods will tell your body when you're full. Those foods will communicate to your brain, or basically your stomach will send a message to your brain like, hey, I got all the fat and fiber and nutrients I need. You can stop eating. And then suddenly you don't have to count calories. You don't have to track anything. Your body is just working to help you moderate and control your diet. So anyways, I don't know a good macronutrient tracker because I do not use one. Anyways, sorry. I'm going to go ahead and go on to the next question, but I'm happy to keep going on this topic if y'all want me to. Fluffkin. Hashtag cute. How can you become flexible in one day? You can't, really. I mean, the bottom line, guys, with flexibility is that it's something that you build. Nobody just wakes up one day and is like, hey, I wonder if I can put my foot behind my head. Okay, with a few exceptions, right? Like there's this Russian woman, I feel bad, I can't remember her name, but she has some kind of, it's a malfunction with her joints. I can't remember exactly what it is, but basically where in normal people, right, our joints over the time as we age, they become less flexible. Hers, for some reason, doesn't form this one certain type of cartilage or something, and so she literally is just flexible, right? But that's like a physical, functional, kind of skeletal thing she has going on. For regular people, though, right, flexibility is something that you have to work toward because you're actually lengthening the muscles. It's just like if somebody asked me, and actually Fluffkin, hashtag cute, this is like if somebody came and said, hey, so how can I learn to bench 200 pounds in one day? Is that possible? Is that possible for anyone who, like me, I can't bench probably anything, okay? It's just not possible, right? So in the same way your muscles can't become super duper strong in one day, they can't become super duper flexible in one day. But the cool thing about flexibility is that once you start doing some flexibility routines and doing some stretches, every single day you will get more and more flexible. And within a week, even within 2 or 3 days, but definitely within a week, you will see a difference. And depending on how old you are, how healthy you are, how fit you are, there's a lot of different kind of things that play in there, but depending on those things, you can reach incredible flexibility goals very, very quickly, but not within one day, unfortunately. At least not in a safe way. Kenji Yams, how often should we do yoga? Honestly, as often as you freaking want to. The cool thing about yoga, number one, is there are just tons and tons of different types of yoga you can do. You can do a really physically demanding yoga like power yoga or Bikram, where they actually crank up the temperature in the room so that you're sweating profusely the whole time. Something that's more intense like that, I would maybe just do 3 to 4 times a week, just like with any intense workout. I would recommend that you take rest days in between those intense workouts. However, it would be perfectly reasonable to do yoga for back pain, yoga for flexibility, or, relaxing yoga, or any other type of yoga for that matter on those off days. It's totally something you can do every single day. And really and truly, the more often that you do your yoga practice or do a little bit of stretching, the more progress you will see. Whereas if you're just doing it once a week, you're probably not going to see a lot of flexibility or strength being built from practice to practice. So do it as often as you want. Bottom line with yoga is that you listen to your body. And what that means is that if you feel really sore from your workout the day before, you do something more gentle on this day. Or if you start doing, yoga for splits, and it's too intense and it kind of hurts, then back off and start with a general yoga for flexibility first. So listen to your body, do what it feels like it wants to do. Do what it feels like it wants to do. And don't push yourself. Yoga should feel good. It should help your body feel better. So if you start doing yoga every day and you feel worse, then maybe you need to back off or mix it up a little bit with something different. Did you catch the guy who ran into the cable? I didn't personally catch him, but one of the other ladies in the office did, and apparently he felt really, really bad about it. But that didn't help me do a live chat, did it? Just kidding. He felt really bad about it. Really, if anything, I say it's on freaking Google Fiber for taking almost a week to come and fix our internet. Originally, they told us they'd be there in 24 hours. Then they called the next day and said that it would be another 24 hours. And then they came in on Friday and they were like, oh yeah, somebody knocked your cable out. We're going to have to bring in a team. And then they didn't come back and fix it until Sunday. All right. KK Ward, what is the longest time to do a detox diet? It's kind of a strange question. Okay, let me say bottom lines for anything related to detoxing, and hopefully within this long spiel I'm about to give, I'll answer your question. Like kicking a big styrofoam board that I'm saving for an ASMR video. I told you guys I always save packing materials for ASMR videos. Well, there's one right here. All right, detoxing. Let's see here. There are a lot of different detox diets, detox pills, detox programs, and all kinds of different stuff that's out there. The thing you need to understand about detoxifying, right, is that basically you are taking toxins which are inside of your body now, but basically they're stored up in little toxin storage units, also known as fat cells. All right, so basically if there is something toxic that your body has either ingested or inhaled or whatever, right? We're exposed to toxins all the time, especially if you live in a big city or something, especially if you eat a lot of processed foods, right? There's a lot of toxic exposure you're exposing yourself to. All right, so all these toxins are in your body and they're stored up in little fat cells. So it's like your body is like, I need to insulate this incredibly dangerous toxin in some way, and so it encapsulates it in fat. So this is why weight loss and detox really go hand in hand, because when you detoxify, you are pulling those toxins out of your fat cells. All right, so it's a way to lose weight, right? But really those things should be kind of done together. So you're looking at your diet, you're working out, and you're doing some kind of a detox, right? Now, one problem, okay, is that if you detox too quickly, okay, it's like all of the toxins in your body, before they can leave it, they come to the surface, right? And then they exit either via your sweat or via your digestive tract, right? But the bottom line is that they come to the surface. And what your body has worked so hard to do to encapsulate them and isolate them and keep them away from you, in order to detoxify, you have to pull them back up to the top. So if you detoxify too quickly, all those toxins in your body are all going to come up at once. And guess what you're going to feel like? Total and utter crap. You might get headaches. You might be breaking out. You're probably going to definitely be moody. All right, any kind of cleanse or detox program or anything like that I've ever done, usually by the third or fourth day, I'm pretty emotionally on edge, okay? Partly because you're hungry because you haven't been eating, but partly because all those toxins your body has worked so hard to protect you from, you're now pulling those up to the surface. So if I could say one thing about detoxing that I want you to remember and take with you, it's do not detox too quickly. And the more toxic you are, the more junk food you've eaten, the more toxic exposure you've had living in a big city or something. Okay, like people who live out on a farm are going to have less toxicity than people who live in New York City. Okay, something to understand. The more toxic you are, if you're really overweight and you've been eating a lot of junk food your whole life, that means you have a lot of toxicity built up inside of you. So detoxing slowly is going to help you not only to feel better while you detox, but it's also going to be safer for the body as well. So your question was about like, what's the longest detox diet I can do? I honestly would say that doing a gentle detoxification over 2 to 4 weeks would probably be a really good idea for most people, as opposed to doing like a 3-day cleanse or something like that. Now, cleansing, detoxing, this is such an immense topic. I have several videos just completely dedicated just to the topic of detoxing and cleansing. And I actually have another one that I'm working on right now that I want to do. So educate yourself. Don't detox too quickly. A slower, more gradual and gentle detox will actually be better for you, even if it takes a longer time. All right, again, the more toxic you are, the slower you should detox. Now, as far as all the detox pills and programs and products and stuff out there, because there's a lot of them. Oh, geez, I've already talked on this question for so long. I'm going to move on, but please, I would just urge you to educate yourself before you do a cleanse. Please watch my videos on cleansing and detox before you buy a cleanser detox product. There's a couple ones that I've shown over the years, you know, but there's just so much I want to say. If you are someone who's not super healthy, don't do a detox plan product thing. Just start by cleaning up your diet. No processed foods, no sugar, no alcohol, no caffeine. You can detox just by removing a lot of toxins from your diet. And then you don't even have to buy anything. You're not buying pills, you're not buying tea. You're just pulling the toxins out of your diet, and in that way, your body will start to detoxify. Anyhow, I'm going to move on. Y'all let me know if you want me to come back to that question. Just as a little reminder, guys, as like now there are so many questions, I'm literally not going to be able to get to them all. If you leave a tip with your question, which is the little dollar sign, it doesn't even, they should have made it look more like a dollar, or they should have made it green. But anyways, underneath where you can write a comment, there's a little dollar sign. If you leave a tip with your question, it will bump it up to the top. So I'm just going to keep scrolling down and answering these, but if you really want an answer and you want it now, all right, please, please, please consider leaving a tip with your question. Laura Lamb, can you recommend yoga stretches or practices for someone with low back pain and sciatica? We literally have probably between 200 and 300 videos on our channel of stretches and yoga for low back pain and sciatica. So rather than sitting here and telling you what is contained in those videos, I really, really hope that you will just go and check some of them out. We literally have so many of them. So many different presenters have done low back pain and sciatica that you will be able to find something that hopefully can give you some relief. You know, ultimately, every person's body is different. So we're not going to all respond to the same stretches. There might be a stretch that I feel amazing when I do it. Maybe it doesn't feel like anything for you. So trying different things and different stretches is actually going to probably be the best approach to take so that you can find what feels good for you, because it's not necessarily going to be the same thing that feels good for another person. Tahira is asking again about losing 45 pounds. Is there a supplement that I can take to suppress appetite? Guys, I'm sorry. Maybe I'm just too much of a hippie or something. I prefer natural. Natural. Eat natural foods. Don't take weird supplements. Don't take weird weight loss pills. Don't take weird appetite suppressants. Don't fall for these weight loss programs that guarantee you can lose 45 pounds in a week. You know, it's just, even if they could help you lose 45 pounds in a week, that would be such an unhealthy thing to do that it's not something I could stand behind anyways. Now, there is a product that I have recently started taking. I showed it in my video from last week called the Weight Loss Buzz. And basically that video is all about honey, bee propolis, bee pollen, all these different bee-related ingredients and how they're actually really super healthy for us and they can help us lose weight. So the product is called Equilibrium. And it's by Honey Colony is the name of the website, Honey Colony. But again, if you just go to that Weight Loss Buzz video, I have a link directly to it in there. Now, it's a little bit pricey, but you just take a spoonful a day. So even the little jar or whatever will last you for months. Okay, it's not something that you're supposed to take in huge amounts, right? And they actually even say on the bottle, like, do not take more than recommended, right? It's very highly concentrated. But one of the things about bee, I can't remember if it's bee pollen or bee propolis. I know bee pollen is ridiculously high in protein. It has almost as much protein as beef, like gram for gram. Not that you would eat as much bee pollen as you would eat beef, but it's a great source of protein. And then the propolis, I think it's the propolis that has the natural anti-appetite effect. So basically it contains phenylalanine. And the things that they use in weight loss pills and appetite suppressant pills is an artificially created version of phenylalanine. But you can get the phenylalanine naturally from eating raw honey and bee propolis and stuff like that. So raw honey, great thing to do. That's also a wonderful natural sweetener. All right, if you can start replacing the refined sugar with honey, that's going to be a really good step, so to speak, in getting healthier and losing weight. And then also there are some appetite suppressant effects related to those bee kind of ingredients. I like this. Take the red one first. I assume that's a Matrix reference. I'm gonna just assume it's a Matrix reference because I am a freaking Matrix addict. I love it. I think I have to watch it again this weekend. That'd be a good thing to do for my birthday. Watch all 3 Matrix movies back to back. Yes, that sounds awesome. All right, so take the red one first says, if you were to eat healthy, what would your diet typically contain? I don't know how to eat healthy. I'm a freezer food cereal gal, and I want to eat healthier, but I just don't know how. LOL. Thank you for that. Okay, here we go. Wow, this chair. Woo! Don't you hate that when you lean back on a chair and you think you're gonna fall? Woohoo! Okay, so back to your question. Pardon my little being too amused by this chair. I'm just trying to get comfortable, and I'm feeling kind of... Okay, so what does a healthy diet contain? I like to think in little bullet points, little guidelines, because it just helps, for me, make it easier to wrap your head around. So bottom line, unfortunately, the frozen foods, the boxed cereals, those are all what would fall in the category of processed foods, what I actually like to call toxic sludge. Characterized by a ridiculously long ingredient list that you can't even, you don't even know what most of those things are. They're not actual foods. They're just long chemical names. Processed foods, all right? So staying away from processed foods as much as possible. What we want to do is go to the opposite side of the spectrum. So that would be minimally processed foods. So what does that mean? What is a minimally processed food? It's kind of a weird sounding word, right? But it means nothing got done to it. Nobody did anything to it. It's in its natural state. It's been processed as minimally as possible. So we could talk about brown rice as an excellent example. Quinoa, Quinoa. It looks like quinoa. All right, but quinoa is a wonderful, actually gluten-free. It's a seed, not a grain. So even people who are grain-free can also eat quinoa, but it's excellent because it gives you complex carbohydrates. It also gives you protein. Okay, same thing with brown rice. So that would be a wonderful alternative to pasta, bread, cereals, things like that. Right? So you can think about if you bought a bag of brown rice, there wouldn't be an ingredient list. Or if there was, it would just be like brown rice. It's like one thing. Okay? Or if you went to the bulk department, for instance, it's just pure brown rice. Vegetables, fruits, minimally processed. Right? So go into the produce department and load yourself up. broccoli, asparagus, tomatoes, onions, bell peppers, avocados, cantaloupes, bananas, apples, oranges. I mean, I could sit here for the entire rest of the live chat and just name off fruits and vegetables. I won't do that anymore, but hopefully you get the idea, right? Which is when you go into the grocery store, this is another good little tip. When you go in the grocery store, stay on the outside aisles. So that's like the produce department, the deli. If you eat eggs and dairy and stuff like that, okay? Dairy, I should just mention, is a very hotly debated food. And if you have these like weird, questionable health issues and can't get to the bottom of it, you might try taking out dairy. Because a lot of people do a lot better when they're on a dairy-free diet. But anyways, outside of the grocery store, so produce, deli, eggs and cheese and stuff like that if you eat those things. But all the stuff on the inside aisles of the grocery store that you just weave up and down for hours and hours, that's all processed junk. Characterized by that long ingredient list. Characterized by things on the front of the label that are sales points. All of that stuff you see on the front of the label, it's there for one purpose and one purpose only, and it's called marketing. So they'll be like, whole grain, or, fat-free, sugar-free, part of a healthy diet. Maybe it has the little heart on it, endorsed by the American Heart Association. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean shit. Pardon my French. It just doesn't mean anything. What really matters is what's on the back of the label. Are the ingredients simple? Are the ingredients natural? And then largely, if you can just opt for things with no ingredient list at all, then you know you have a minimally processed food, right? So natural foods that haven't been processed, fruits and vegetables, your legumes like chickpeas, lentils, black beans, kidney beans. These are an excellent source of protein and a really, really good thing to include in your diet because they're also rich in trace minerals. Replacing, if you're constantly, here's another thing, processed meats are like the absolute worst of the worst. So I'm not saying you can't eat meat, okay? But if you're gonna eat meat, go to the deli or whatever it's called, the butcher area of the grocery store, or like they're literally just gonna give you a piece of meat and it's not processed, no fillers, no nitrates and nitrites and all these weird chemicals that they use in processed meats. I have a lot of videos on this topic. I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next question just because if you click on any of my nutrition videos on this channel, you will basically get this question answered. And then I literally have a video called Basic Nutrition, What to Eat. And the whole video is an answer to your question. Alrighty. Oh dear. Okay, Lacey Yeager. She says, I left a tip 2 weeks ago but didn't get an answer. What are your thoughts on acupuncture related to stress relief and pain? So Lacey, I apologize that I missed your question. If it was 2 weeks ago, that was probably like the first time that they had unleashed this whole tipping thing or whatever, and I just didn't quite know how to use it yet. But anyway, so let me go ahead and answer your question, and thank you for your tip. All right, so what are your thoughts on acupuncture for stress relief and pain? Okay, so acupuncture comes from basically the, not belief, so to speak, but the approach to help bring balance to your body by creating a smooth flow of chi or energy throughout your body. So there are a series of acupressure points all throughout the body that will be associated with either a certain area of the body or that are, I don't know how the best way to explain this is, but basically the idea from acupuncture or any type of acupressure massage, you don't necessarily have to get it with needles. You can also just have acupressure where they're just like tapping on the points. But acupuncture is actually using needles on those acupuncture points, all right, to help stimulate an unimpeded flow of energy throughout the body. So when we talk about stress and pain, these are probably two of the main issues that can be significantly helped from acupuncture. And I say that based on personal experience, both of myself having received acupuncture and on other people I know that were experiencing a lot of pain, and they had acupuncture, and then they literally called me to be like, oh my God, Corrina, it actually worked. I was like, wow, I'm so glad that it worked for you. That's great. And she was like, no, I'm shocked. I can't believe that it worked. And I was like, well, I'm glad that it worked. Like, are you happy about it? Or anyways. So why is acupuncture helpful for these types of things? In order to really discern exactly how much your specific problems could be resolved, it's really kind of important to know exactly what's going on with the person. If someone has an underlying condition or a structural issue that they've had their whole life, that may be different than something like trying to relieve a problem that started in the last year or two and you don't know why. And I only say that because if there's some kind of structural problem going on in your body, then you really probably need to get that addressed by a chiropractor. Now, here in Austin, there's actually a lot of chiropractors that also practice acupuncture, or an office that has a chiropractor and an acupuncturist, and then they kind of work together to say like, hey, this person needs this. Hey, I think this person could benefit from that. Oftentimes it will be a combination of something like chiropractic and acupuncture to really get to the root of the problem and resolve it. Because remember, like I said at the very beginning of this chat, the whole approach of natural medicine is not to just give you a little relief, but to actually try and figure out the root cause of the problem and then try to resolve it so that you can actually be completely ameliorated of that symptom, of that problem, right? And not have to keep going back and going back and going back. One reason that we do typically have to go back for repeated sessions of chiropractic or acupuncture or whatever it is because after we leave the session, we go back into our life and we walk the same way we always walk. We sit the same way we always sit. We drive the same way we always drive. And so these kind of repetitive movements and repetitive postures are going to like sink us back into whatever the problem was that we began with. So I always see that, for instance, we put up a chiropractic video on Monday and somebody was like, oh, chiropractic is the perfect Band-Aid to ensure that people keep coming back. And it's like, no, actually, if you listen to the guy, he says that his whole purpose is to try and resolve your problem. But if you've had 40 years or even just 30 years of reinforcing these certain postural habits and these certain, movements and stuff, then one chiropractic session is not going to undo 30 or 40 years of the way you've been living your life. Anyways, a little bit off topic, but I did want to just mention that you might consider, like I said, maybe an office where there's a chiropractor and an acupuncturist, because depending on where your issues are actually stemming from, that's going to really, predict what type of treatment could be helpful for you. And if you find a good practitioner, then they'll just be honest with you. And if they think you need acupuncture, if they think you need something else, they'll let you know that and let you make the decision in terms of what you think is going to work the best for you. Help for highly sensitive people after getting overstimulated. Have you heard of ASMR? This is Ali Na's question. So ASMR, it stands for Autonomous Sensory Meridian Response, but basically this is an entire style of videos related to helping people calm down. So whereas I'm like being kind of cheeky and being really loud and cursing in this live chat, in a couple of hours when I'm filming ASMR videos, it's a little bit more like this. Hey guys, it's Corrina, and today I want to help you to feel more relaxed, more at ease, and hopefully this video will help you to be feeling better and maybe even get some sleep. All right, well, blah, 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 boring. But you get the idea, right? Anyways, I love those videos, and after I have had a day of just being like really overstimulated and busy and going 100 miles a minute, it really does help me to turn on one of those videos, or even to just start talking like that, like I was just talking, and I just immediately feel more calm. The thing that I think is most beneficial about ASMR, and something that you can do yourself right now, Allie, to help you feel better, is pulling your attention into really small, tiny things. And you might even need to turn off, maybe like after the live chat or whatever, turn off the computer. If your air conditioner is real loud or something, you can turn that off. And when things get really quiet, you can start to notice these little tiny, quiet things, like the sound of tapping. You can even hear it sounds completely different to tap on this marker than to tap on this empty thing of gum, which I like a lot. This is a natural, sugar-free gum, sweetened with xylitol and peppermint oil. Focusing in on really small things. Go into your closet and just start scratching the different textures of the clothing. I love little miniatures and stuff. I find miniatures really relaxing. I guess that's not necessarily something you can do if you don't already have miniatures, but I love small stuff, little things I find really relaxing. But anything that can help bring your focus in. Focusing in on something really small and quiet, those little often overlooked and often forgotten sounds, tuning your focus into those things can help to de-stimulate you, can help you to calm down and literally relax your central nervous system as you kind of pull your brain out of that crazy, hectic world that it lives in most of the time, and then just bring it in super focused, super quiet, super gentle. What do you mean tip? Like money. Sorry. I don't have a green marker. I'll have to get a green marker. But anyways, so there's a little $sign underneath the comment box where you leave a comment. If you click on it, you can leave me a tip, just like you would leave a waitress a tip. And if you leave a tip, your question gets bumped up to the top of the chat. Kushal Suthar, yoga in second trimester. I don't personally know because I have not been pregnant in my life, but I guarantee you there is a lot of prenatal yoga on YouTube, and I know that there are people at all different levels who've shown yoga you can do. Yoga is a wonderful thing to do while you're pregnant. Of course, there are some little modifications that you need to make, especially if you're in your second trimester, and you're starting to show a little bit. You don't quite have the same mobility that you did before you got pregnant. So definitely watch a video that's specifically for, prenatal yoga. And like I said, I bet you can even find something that is specifically for second trimester. safe prenatal yoga. Brooklyn Baltes, Brooklyn says, can you lose weight by only eating sandwiches and vegetables? Not like burgers and fried chicken, sandwiches like ham and turkey. Really good question. Here's my thoughts on sandwiches. Number one, what you stick inside of it. All right, so the typical sandwich meat that comes in a package is unfortunately a highly processed food. And the way you can tell is when you flip it over and look at the ingredients, you're like, there's corn syrup solids in my turkey? There's high fructose corn syrup in my turkey? What's a mechanically separated chicken? Anyways, bottom line is, ideal scene, you go up to the butcher department and you ask him for some turkey, and guess what? It doesn't even have an ingredient list on it. No ingredient list. It's just turkey. Just turkey. So high quality meat, if you can find something that is organic and or free range, which just means that the turkeys get to run around in the grass rather than being kept in cages their whole life. These are other ways you can improve the quality of the meat that you put in your sandwich. Again, stay away from the, unfortunately, Oscar Mayer makes some. What are the other brands of packaged turkey meat? Anyways, bottom line is, if there's an ingredient label on it, don't buy it. I mean, I guess if it was just like turkey and salt or something, maybe that would be okay. But if you start looking at your deli meat, you'll see those corn ingredients, and there should not be corn in turkey. Period. Especially these highly processed weird corn ingredients like corn syrup solids or high fructose corn syrup. The second consideration is what's on the outside of your sandwich. So typically, we think of white bread. And unfortunately, white bread is one of the unhealthiest things that we can eat. Strange, right? Because it's one of the first things that we were fed as a little kid. Strange, right? Because it's freaking everywhere. But then it's not strange, right? Because yeah, it's freaking everywhere, and now we have the most alarming obesity rates we've ever had. Is it a coincidence? I don't know. So high quality meat on the inside, and then on the outside, ideally, a sprouted whole grain bread. Ezekiel is a brand that we have here in Austin that I really like. There's a lot of whole wheat breads out there, but a lot of them are just the white bread with caramel coloring in them. Literally. And I say that because I have spent hours standing in the bread aisle at the grocery store reading the ingredient label of every single loaf of bread. And I only had to do that once in order to realize, wow, all the bread has high fructose corn syrup. All the bread has enriched white flour. That's the bad guy. I know it says enriched and it's like confusing because you're like, oh, shouldn't that be healthy? No, unfortunately, the enriched flour is the bad guy. So if you're gonna eat whole wheat bread, you really need to look at the ingredient label and make sure it says like 100% whole wheat. Because a lot of those breads, even the ones that are called Health Nut, and then like Pepperidge Farms has one that's like, it like looks all healthy and stuff, it still has enriched flour in it. And most of them have caramel color to make it brown. The healthiest thing to do would be to not use bread at all. The healthiest thing to do would be to eat a salad instead. And if you want to chop up some turkey meat or even chop up some ham and put that on your salad, could totally work. But a salad with ham and turkey would probably be anywhere from 10 to 100 times more healthy than a sandwich. You know, even if you had the same things inside of them, just because of the difference between that white bread or not. I have been going for about an hour. I will probably stay on for another 30 to 40 minutes. What smells work best for stress? Lavender essential oil is known to be very, very effective for stress. Chamomile, which is more typically found in tea form than in incense or essential oils form, it's also very relaxing. What are some other ones? If you put in essential oils for stress, you'll get a huge list. There's a lot of them. And then ultimately, some people are different. Some people, find peppermint relaxing. I find peppermint really kind of stimulating. People always ask me about how you increase your height. How you increase your height. There's not a lot of ways to increase your height because there's not a lot you can do to lengthen your bones. One really key thing to consider, though, is that we, throughout the course of our lives, we are constantly pulled down by gravity. Throw into the mix that we slouch. Throw into the mix that oftentimes we don't do enough stretching and flexibility and kind of stuff. The spine actually starts to not close in on itself, but basically you've got your spine and you've got all your different vertebrae, and then in between each vertebrae there's a little disc. Well, what happens from gravity and slouching and not stretching, etc., is that those discs become more and more flattened. And suddenly we can actually be a lot shorter. And if you think about how people, when they get a lot older, you think about them actually getting smaller. They get shorter, so to speak. They get smaller and they get more hunched over. Well, part of it is the body just starting to deteriorate. Right? When somebody hits their 80s and 90s, the body does kind of start to deteriorate a little bit. But then it's also like 80 or 90 years of gravity pulling downward on them. So one thing you can do, not necessarily guaranteed to increase your height, but probably one of the only things that could potentially increase your height, is called inversion therapy. So maybe you've seen those big tables that you lay on and then you go upside down. That's kind of the typical inversion table. But basically the idea is that you have the opposite effect from gravity. And now your spine can completely lengthen. And you can start to, those discs have, don't have that same downward pressure on them. So those discs can even like fatten up again a little bit. You can also, if you do a lot of yoga, there's lots of inversions in yoga. So you can think about downward dog, forward fold. These are both really good movements that will actually elongate your spine. So whether you just do it to help you feel good and prevent back pain, or because it might make you taller, I would recommend inversion therapy and yoga. Okay, so there's two questions here that are very kind of close to each other, so I'm going to kind of tackle them both at once. So Allison Sabla says how to calm the necessity of eating sugary things like candies and chocolates. And One Day Jana says, is fruit sugar bad too? So we're kind of talking about sugar cravings. We're talking about fruit. Is fruit as bad for you as chocolate and stuff like that? So here's what I want to say. And again, I have lots of videos on the topic of sugar cravings. So you could literally go and watch a video all about sugar and sugar cravings if you want to hear more information like this. So basically, when we are in a constant state of eating sugar, And I said this a couple chats back, so forgive me if this is a repetition, but I really like this little analogy. Your body has essentially two primary sources of fuel, right? And I guess three if you count protein, but typically when we're talking about energy, we're thinking about sugar and we're thinking about fat. Okay, because fat, if it's the fat inside of our body, like what I got going on here, if it's the fat inside of our body, that's just, it used to be sugar, right? It's sugar that got turned into fat so that it could be stored because your body couldn't burn it off. All right, fat and sugar. So most of us have a ton of fat, aka stored sugar, hanging out all over our bodies, just waiting to be used. But then we keep putting sugar in our bloodstream. And just like, forgive the surly analogy, but think of your body like a crack addict, right? But the crack is sugar. Your body needs sugar in order to have energy, period. Can't function without it, right? So your crack addict body has a choice. It can either go in and use ketosis to transform the fat on your body back into sugar and use that for energy, or it can just grab the sugar that's floating by in your bloodstream right now. Hey, look, she just ate a freaking popsicle. I'm gonna grab me some sugar. Screw trying to burn off the saddlebags or whatever, right? So over time, what ends up happening is your crack addict body is like, man, all I gotta do is crave some sugar, and my person, my human, will feed me sugar. So the sugar craving phenomenon is this perpetual kind of circuit where you've given your body lots of sugar, so your body craves more sugar. And your body's like, hell, why am I going to work harder to use a ketone, aka stored fat? Why am I going to work harder to use a ketone when I could just tell my human to eat sugar and they're just going to stick it on the highway and give it right to me? Okay? What does this mean? What it means for our waistline is that all that stored up energy hanging out on your thighs and your belly is just gonna freaking sit there, because your body has become not only more efficient at burning sugar for fuel, but now it's like, screw burning fat. I'm just gonna have a sugar craving and get a straight stream of sugar straight in. I don't have to do any work to get to it. So this is why sugar cravings are so insatiable. And I can't remember exactly Allison's words. She says, how to calm the necessity of eating sugary things. That's cute, right? AKA a sugar craving. So let's talk about solutions now, right? How do you get a crack addict off of crack? Unfortunately, at some point, you just got to take it away from them and force them to, force them into the DTs or whatever. So what that means is that if you can start to resist eating sugar or eat healthier forms of sugar in its place, which I'll get to in a minute, then suddenly your body will be